What's up, Giants fans? What's up, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname coming at y'all with another Giants talk video, and this time I spoke about it in my last one. I'm gonna be trying to really speak from a fan perspective, similar to my Saquon Barkley video, on why, just all out like fan talk on why the Giants have a real shot at either clinching a wild card spot this year or just all out winning the division of the NFC East. Like I said, there's only a couple bits and pieces of things I researched here, but I'm really it's something I want to talk about straight up. Just looking at things as a fan, looking as a general overview, not really going too in depth about stuff. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff here. I guess a little disclaimer. Yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of bias in here, but let's get into it, man. The Giants, y'all, in case you haven't noticed yet, they got a really good chance of making it to the playoffs this year, and one of the best reasons is because of the division they play in, the NFC East. This is one of those divisions that's always a toss-up, year in, year out. Even though in the past 2 years it was really a battle between Cowboys and Eagles, over the course of its history and over the course of the past 20 years, it's always a battle between all four teams. Nobody really knows who's the best and who's gonna lead their way into the playoffs right there. You know what I'm saying, man? It's always a toss-up. It's just one of those exciting divisions. And the Giants haven't won this division in a long time, man. I'm talking probably since their last Super Bowl win, or maybe the 2012 season after. But yeah, they haven't won the season in a long time. The last time they did well, the Cowboys went 13-3, and they were the ones to win the division. So it's been a while, you know what I mean? So football gods, if you're listening up there, it's about time, man. We've been waiting for a long time for this. Let's get this division win. But not only that, I mean, let me talk about our rivals, the Redskins. That's probably the most one-sided rivalry in NFL history. It's 101-69. So Giants got 101 wins versus the 69 wins against the Washington Redskins, and there were four ties in all the times they faced up against each other. And even so, more so in recent years, even when the Giants are bad, we always can count on getting a win against the Redskins. I don't know. It's like we have their number or something like that. It's almost like a beatdown. I mean, this past year it was a blowout, 40-17 or something like that, or 40-10. I can't remember, but it was one of the best games I saw in a while, because it would be fitting that the first time the Giants have a blowout in 3-4 years would be against the Redskins. But this team right here, in terms of offseason additions, obviously from the draft they got Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat. Two players that could very well develop into future leaders of the team and the league. Off-season signings, the one that comes to mind immediately for me, Landon Collins. I think, as well as every other Giants fan and fan of football should know, they completely overpaid this guy. $84 million over 6 years or something like that. I don't know what it was, but they basically gave him money that he, for his positional value, is not worth it. You know what I'm saying? They also got traded for Case Keenum before they draft, and they signed Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, re-signed AP, and signed a couple of defensive guys like Jonathan Bonner and whatnot. Listen, this Redskins team actually probably didn't even need to sign any of those people. Before Case Keenum went down, they were hot. My bad. Before Alex Smith went down, they were hot. They were the best team in the NFC East. In fact, they were the only team in the NFC East with a record above 500, if I remember. This team was on a roll. It looked like they were going through everybody. It looked like they were surprising everybody, actually. It looks like they were going to be the ones to go into the playoffs. They unfortunately had the injury bug, and basically both of their first and second string quarterbacks went down. A couple guys on the O-line went down, and a few guys on defense went down. They just had a really bad injury bug. If that same team comes back this year, unfortunately they won't have Alex Smith, which is why they traded for Case Keenum and why they drafted Dwayne Haskins. If that team came back, they probably would have a good shot at this division. But they don't. We don't know how the injury is going to affect everybody, and we don't know how the team is going to play as a whole. On top of that, the Redskins being Redskins, and also because of the media and fan pressure or whatnot, I can guarantee you guys, you will see Dwayne Haskins start way too early in his career. I can guarantee you by week 7, we'll see Dwayne Haskins start. And Dwayne Haskins is a great football player that needs to sit an entire NFL year before he starts. He needs to sit, he needs to learn, he needs to take notes, and he needs to get used to the NFL because he only has 1 year experience in college. I firmly believe that if he starts too early, it's going to stunt his growth and he's not going to develop properly. He's not going to develop into what the Redskins drafted him for. You start him too early, he's not going to come out good. And you don't even want to risk injury and whatnot. If I'm Redskins fan, I would want him to sit both so that he can learn and both so that his body can adjust to the rigors of the NFL. The Redskins being Redskins, I'm telling you, something won't go right. They'll make a bad decision. In my opinion, they already did so by overpaying Landon Collins. It's not that I hate the signing because they took Collins. No, he's a great player, but you definitely spent way too much money on him. And if I can just guarantee you guys, man, come back to this video. You know, I'm gonna come back here. I said week 7. If by week 7 Dwayne Haskins is not starting, I'll eat crow. But I can guarantee you this guy, they'll put him in way too early and it's not gonna be good. And that's gonna be the downfall of this team, along with how the injuries affect players that are coming back. You know what I mean? I say give it a year. They probably would have the same window that the Giants have. I still think our best year in the future would be 2020. That's like the opening of our window, you know? Same thing for this team, and it would be because of the injuries. But I mean, if we got, now look at it from the Giants' perspective, right? That's one of our opponents right there that's gonna have a lot of problems in this coming season because of their injuries and because they don't have patience. They won't give this guy enough time. You know what I mean? Giants fans, let me know what you think. Redskins fans, I know y'all gonna be angry with it. Like I said, there's gonna be bias in this video, but that's just what I think. Let's move on. How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? I can't do a Shannon voice and I can't do a Skip voice when he's doing it sarcastically. But how about them Cowboys? That's the next thing we're gonna talk about. Do I even need to say anything? Cowboys fans, y'all always think this is your year. Y'all always think, hey, we going to the Super Bowl. Always. Y'all always think that you're gonna win the Super Bowl. You always think it's your year, man. Bro, there's so many memes about y'all, I can't even list them all. But Cowboys fans, honestly, you guys have a really great team. I'm not even gonna lie, I ain't even gonna hold y'all, but the Cowboys have always had a great team, you know what I mean? They've had one of the best NFL defenses for the past 2 years now. Consistently top 10, consistently top 5. They have a really good defensive line. They managed to lock up DeMarcus Lawrence. They managed to bring in a couple older guys, both on defense and offense. They're working on contracts to keep all their key players in there. Obviously, I think that would be their main concern, just keeping everybody in there while working around the cap space. I don't think that they could keep everybody in there, and I think the key would be to put off Dak Prescott's contract for a while, so you could sign Zeke, you could re-sign Zeke and all that, because obviously his prime is a lot shorter than Dak's. You know, a running back's prime is always probably the shortest of any position in football. But a little bit on their off-season additions. Jason Wynn apparently coming out of retirement. I don't think that's a good idea at all. They got Robert Quinn, Randall Cobb, George Iocca, and Kerry Hyder. Robert Quinn, I think, will help out on the defensive side, definitely. Randall Cobb, another target for Dak Prescott. Not sure how he'll fit into this offensive scheme. They already have a good first in Amari Cooper. He'll probably be a great second. And George Iocca also on defense and whatnot. I mean, oh, and they got Tristan Hill in the draft. That was their second round pick. I mean, like I said, this team, similar to the Redskins, really good roster. It's just that something always goes wrong with them throughout the year. I mean, that's where the whole how about them Cowboys came from. I mean, they always have a great team. Something just goes wrong, and there's already now off the field issues with Zeke. It's I don't know what the punishment with that is, if there even is gonna be one. That whole video released of a drunk Zeke Elliott walking around trailing behind some girl. He pushed over a security officer and whatnot. Don't know how that's gonna go down, but there's already off the field issues there. If he's suspended, for a couple of games. I don't expect the Cowboys to really do anything. We've seen what happened with Zeke out and Dak in. Maybe it's different because now he has Cooper he can rely on and Randall Cobb. Who knows? They still have a pretty good offensive line. I think the defense is just gonna be the identity of the Cowboys now, which is really weird because just a couple years ago when they first got Zeke and Dak, it really was the offense carrying that team. But I think now is gonna be more so the defense. They still have to figure out that tight end position. I don't think coming out of retirement for the NFL is a good thing ever. Just your body won't be used to getting back into just the violent game that playing football is. You know what I mean? Your body, your mind, all that. And also another big thing, which I was surprised they didn't do last year, they did not fire Jason Garrett. I think he's a horrible head coach. He has the nickname the Clapper for a reason. I don't think this guy really does anything on the sidelines. He's just not a good head coach. He can't scheme an offense to save his life and all that. I really thought they would have had him gone after the playoff loss last year, but the fact that they made it to the playoffs is probably why the front office kept him. But hey, I'm not complaining. That just helps out my team more and more. I do think Jason Garrett, depending on how he performs this year, will probably be his career year, like the career decision on whether or not he stays with the Cowboys or not. Also, I do think that would be the downfall of the Cowboys if they continue to keep this guy, because they need some fresh blood in the coaching staff. They need some people new, because obviously if Garrett is gone, the defensive people are gone, the defensive coordinators and stuff like that. Their offensive moves really seem like those of a team that's trying to go all in, trying to win the Super Bowl. They have a very young team, very young core, and they added a couple veterans to try and solidify the mentality and the experience and whatnot. They seem to be going all in, but just because they're the Cowboys, everybody knows this, something will go wrong, man. It's like so whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Like, for real, with this team, I don't know, man. But realistically, they probably are the best. They probably are the team with the best chance to win the NFC East. Which brings us to the next one, the Philadelphia Eagles. And my oh my, this is my favorite rivalry in the NFC East, the Giants and Eagles, because I absolutely hate Philadelphia, like the Philadelphia Eagles, not Philadelphia the city. I mean, I got no problem with Philly. Got no problem out there. Been there once on a school trip to see Penn State and whatnot. Very nice city. For the most part, nice people, you know what I mean? But Philadelphia sports, it's like Philadelphia, Boston, New York. There's just that sports rivalry. But the Eagles, man, I don't know what in the world is with them. It's some voodoo magic, some black magic or something, man. I can't remember the last time the Giants had a win against the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, for real. Like, a legitimate win against this Eagles team. Like, in the past 10 years even, man. It's been so long since I've seen the Giants just dominate the Eagles. It's crazy. Even when we're good, we're not good enough to beat them. It's absolutely crazy, man. Every single year the Eagles come in, they have our number no matter what. Like that game last year where Saquon went off. It was at Lincoln Financial Field. In the first half, completely went off. Second half, I don't know whether it was Pat Shermer or Mike Shula's fault. They just said, hey, we forgot Saquon existed, and just went into the pass and forgot about the run, and the Eagles made a comeback. The defense couldn't do anything. They won the game. We were up like 20-something to like 10 at the half, I think. I was like, this is in the bag, and obviously it wasn't. I don't know, man. The Eagles, they just always beat us every year. Hopefully it's different this year, but I don't know, man. Let's get into their off-season additions. They got back the Giants killer Deshaun Jackson. He's signed through 2021. They got to terms with Darby, a 1-year contract. Andrew Sendejo, 1-year contract. Vinny Curry, 1-year contract. Richard Rodgers, 2-year contract. They got Jordan Howard in the trade with Chicago, which I think was an absolute steal. Jordan Howard is a completely underutilized back and somebody with great potential. He's a great runner. I think it was a great pickup for the Eagles, especially because that was probably their biggest need offensively, helping the run game and whatnot. And then they addressed that further by getting Miles Sanders in the draft, which I think is kind of funny. You're going to see Saquon going up against Miles Sanders now. And Sanders is nobody to, like, I don't know, like, write off like that. He's a good running back. I think he probably has potential as a top 15 back, maybe top 10, but because he played at school with Saquon and he was the backup of Saquon, he obviously got outshone and whatnot. But he's good nevertheless. They addressed the O-line. They got Andre Dillard in the draft, somebody who I thought was one of the best tackles. Went back to defense, got Sharif Miller, somebody I thought was underrated. And then, of course, probably the biggest thing in the offseason, they got a 4-year contract with Carson Wentz. It was a huge contract, $128 million. You could argue whether or not he's proven enough to get that type of money. He did have an MVP-like season in 2017 before he went down with the injury. But since then, we haven't seen anything from him. And then once again, it was because of another injury. That is going to be a defining moment for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. They don't have that magic dude in Nick Foles anymore to bail them out if Carson Wentz goes down. And I am genuinely concerned for him because this is 2 years in a row now he went down with injuries. Whether or not he's not recovering properly or is just the type of play he's been in, that is definitely a concern for the Eagles. Is he going to go down again this year? Because they don't have that magic dude in the back that could just come in and take them to the playoffs again. And that's what I feel like it is for this team. I think for this team, at least for the fan base, they probably look at it as playoff or bust because we still haven't seen Carson Wentz himself take them to the playoffs. We've seen him set them in position, and then Nick Foles came in and then took them to the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And then the next year, he didn't really set them in position, but Foles came in and sort of saved the team and got them to the playoffs. So it's like we haven't seen Carson Wentz really do that deed, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it would be for this team. Injuries, and can Carson Wentz stay healthy? And I don't think that they address the O-line quite enough because it's an aging O-line. A couple people are going to retire after the season. The defense, they traded away Michael Bennett. They did get Sharif Miller, and they still have Fletcher Cox and all those guys up there. Their secondary would be the concern. Can everybody come back? Do they still have guys that were once flipping hot dogs in the secondary? That's what the concern is with this team. Similar to the Redskins, injuries, can everybody stay healthy? And can Carson Wentz take them? Can he take them to the promised land, you know? Another thing that I forgot to mention for the Cowboys also, along with the Eagles, is that these teams, as does about every team in the NFL, when they get a last place schedule, they perform well because they have the easier schedule. They came in last place one year, they're going to have an easy schedule the next year. Both of these teams, the Cowboys and the Eagles, came in first and second place respectively for the NFC East. So they're going to have the two hardest schedules in the NFC East. And it's no schedules to slouch at. Got some really big players in there, teams that were playoff teams and teams that were on the edge making the playoffs. Got some tough competition in these schedules. I think that's definitely going to work against them. More so the Cowboys than the Eagles. The Cowboys have really prospered when they have bottom of the barrel schedule. That's how they made it. That's one of the reasons, I should say, they made it to top in the East in 2016. You know, that they were last place schedule or second to last place schedule or something like that. Next year they had the first place schedule. They only went 8-8. Eagles similarly, first place schedules last year, and they struggled to get to 9-7 to make it to the playoffs. I think that's gonna work against them a little bit. The teams on here, let me just read them off to you: Falcons, Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears, Patriots, Seahawks, and obviously then it's the other ones I didn't name were, you know, Giants, Redskins, Cowboys. But outside of the divisional opponents, you got some really tough eggs to crack there. That's the Eagles. And the Cowboys, they got it tougher: Saints, Packers, Dolphins, Vikings, Bears, Patriots, Rams. They got a couple of Super Bowl teams in there. You know what I mean? Even though they have good teams, there's something challenging them, and that could push them or it could crush them. For all it is, for the Redskins, it's their injuries. They're probably going to start their quarterback too soon. For the Cowboys, they need to figure out what's happening on offense and what's going to happen with that coach. I don't think Jason Garrett will be able to coach his way into another contract this year. I think the Cowboys are going to do relatively average this year. And the Eagles, injuries, can they protect Carson Wentz, and can he stay healthy? If he goes down, I think it's over for them. You know, they lost a couple players on defense. Sure, they signed and drafted some, but who knows? It's never the same, you know? The NFC East is more wide open than a lot of people would think. Like I said, this was just from a fan's perspective, minimum research. I just want to get my opinion out there. That's what all this is, an opinion. Let me know what you all think. That's what I got for today. The Giants have a real chance. I'm out. You're